Right now, we bring to you former Cowboys defensive tackle, two-time Super Bowl champion, Tony Casillas. Good morning, sir.
What's up, fellas?
Do you want us to start talking about the game, or do you want a few minutes to talk about how much you did not like the Micah Parsons trade?
You choose. I guess we can start with the Micah Parsons because I think that's, when you look at this game tonight, that's probably going to be the reasons why the Cowboys don't win. I mean, let's face it, the Eagles, they're a team that they pretty much know what they have. In Dallas right now, we know some of the guys, the George Pickens, some of the players that they've already had on the team. We're not sure what the dynamic is, but we know there's a lot of potential. But I think it's going to come down to 2 or 3 big plays in this game, and I think that they don't have that. And I'm just like everyone else, is blown away the decision to trade Micah, regardless of what we don't know about him personally in the locker room, how Jerry Jones got his feelings hurt. You just don't trade a generational player like Micah Parsons.
Is there, just kind of going off of what you were just saying, because a lot of that makes sense to me, do you think there's any chance that Jerry Jones made that trade or the Cowboys made that trade because they didn't know what they had and they were like, you know what, then we do need to take a step back and kind of reassess and rebuild our assets?
Well, that's a great point, because I think that they're certainly not any closer than they were when they had Micah, and no doubt about that. And I think that, yes, I think that there's some really, really unbelievable expectations and firepower on that offensive side, but we haven't seen it. But I just know that, again, I mean, you go back to, and I hate to keep going back to the 90s, but Chuck was one of the missing ingredient, and it got us to where we needed to be. And maybe in a roundabout way, to your point, is they see the makeup of this team and think, well, we're probably 2 or 3 years away, so let's get the draft, let's get the picks, and let's try to build and get some players. They bring in a great defensive tackle from Green Bay. Clark. And so I think there's some really good points to that. But, to your point, I think it's a great one, because I definitely don't think this team is closer than they were when they had Micah Parsons.
Tony Casillas joining us here on the K&C Masterpiece on 105 through the Fan. We discussed your tweet for a few segments, I think, and that was, you traded this to stop the run,
which I do get,
and I understand that part of the conversation. But in your experience, having played this game for as long as you did, what is the most effective way to stop the run, and can Eberflus scheme up pressure on the quarterback at the same time?
Well, I think that you have to have the interior. You got to have that heart of your defense, because we saw last year that they just got gouged so many times. And, to Jerry's point about trying to get a run stopper, well, how about the Mozzie Smiths? That hasn't worked. You drafted him to come in here and be a future Pro Bowl player. That didn't work. And then you go out and you're going to trade someone like Micah Parsons, who's getting you over 10 sacks a season, wants to be paid, which he finally got paid. I just don't buy into that. And, I think to your point, you have to have the interior part. You got to have your good linebackers, but you do have to have the 3 technique and a 1 technique. And, those guys inside to just stop the run and not bleed on first and second down, and just make it so easy for the offense to, do a play call and, convert and move the chain. So, I hope Kenny Clark, I hope he's the guy that we, after everything's, after 8 weeks, we look back and said, man, that's one of the best trades Jerry Jones has ever made.
Yeah.
Teams aren't averages and not gouging, but, I just think that you say things like that because you haven't addressed the issue where you've tried to, and you really kind of swung and missed. And I think it really kind of comes down to that.
Now, I know we make a big deal out of like baseball opening day and everything, but it feels like the NFL, especially with a Thursday kind of standalone game, it's become a really huge deal, that opening weekend and everything. When you were playing, did you get extra jacked up for that first game, or you're like, well, there's only 16, so I'm going to be pretty fired up for every single one of them?
Oh, no, I think that, yeah, everybody says, well, there's 16 more games after this, but how about the stage, guys? And you're playing the hated Eagles, and we didn't ever play a division opponent. It would have been great if we'd opened up. Not that we needed any more, motivation, but when you're playing the Eagles, of defending Super Bowl champs, and the Cowboys, it doesn't get any better. The hatred of the Eagles fans playing there. I know one thing: if you're a Cowboys fan, you either need to take a pair of boxing gloves with you, or don't wear, blue and silver, because that's a tough place to play. But yeah, there's nothing about the opening week, and yeah, I think a lot have said, oh yeah, not everybody's going to win, and teams got to lose. But man, when it's a division game, and you're playing in Philly, and it's on national TV, and everybody's hyped up for the season, and let's not make this anticlimactic for the fans. And really, I don't think a stage gets better than that. It's almost like already a playoff energy. But as we know, we really haven't seen everyone play, because you just don't be able to see that in preseason. So I think that's the fascinating part about it. As a player, you just can't. This is what you play the game for. And it doesn't get any better than this for a regular season opening game.
And hearing the guys in the Gambler talk about the energy of the Super Bowl and how that hits you in a different way in playoff games, and kind of what you're talking about for tonight's game too. You always hear players talk about the speed of the game early in the game. Can you kind of explain this difference in the speed of a game and when it's kind of comes back down to normal in a game like this?
Well, I think now it's a mental aspect of the preparation and the looks and everything you prepare for when you're practicing. You're doing some preseason work, but now you just don't see guys beating each other up. It's only 3 preseason games, so I think it's easy for the process on the defensive side of the ball, because we're so smart and we just absorb all the information.
Yeah, it's so much better.
Laugh about that.
Yeah.
We did look at each other and laugh, and so yeah.
I was waiting for you guys to start laughing. But
it's game day. I don't have time for laughing.
It's always been smarter. We always knew this. Yes.
But I think the whole process for the defense is a little easier, because I think the hitting is a little different. But I mean, that's what you play the game for, to go out there and just try to just knock someone's head off legally. So I think the speed of the game is a total, offensively execution, but also I think for defenses, especially in the secondary and all the different looks, and everything's just happen a lot faster. And but I think the older guys understand that. Younger guys would be a little wide-eyed open, and like, wow, this may take some time because I haven't seen this. But I think if you have a veteran team, I think you can handle that. But there's nothing like the speed. There's nothing like the violence of actually getting to hit someone, and really just all the off season, the OTAs, the mini camps, and everything else. This is what you play for.
That's. I'm glad you brought the word violence to the table, because we were discussing this yesterday. Eberflus and Sam Williams were talking about they want this defense to be a violent defense.
Oh yeah.
Where does that come from? Is it? It's got to. It feel like it's got to be the entire group is committed to being that kind of team.
Well, I love Shotty. I think that he has brought a lot of energy to that building, and I love Matt Eberflus. I've been fortunate to play golf and talk to him. He's a tremendous defensive mind, and that's what he wants to play fast. He wants to play violent. He wants to play smart. And I think in his his defense, it gives you the capability to do those things. And I think for the first game especially, I think the mental preparation shows up a lot more than anything. The physical, the speed, yeah. But I think the team that's locked in and really the football aptitude, if you will, and just kind of stay locked in on that, then you can let it eat. And I think Matt's defense gives you the opportunity to do that because he wants you to be a playmaker. He wants you to, to be a smart playmaker and big playmaker. And I think that sometimes there's been too much emphasis off, okay, let's go make a big play, but mentally we're not going to be, we end up just sacrificing that because we're not in the right position.
Mm-hmm.
We bust coverages, lanes, whatever that be. So, and I think guys love that. They love to say, hey, look, just take the handles off and let's just go let it eat. And I think that this defense, I'm excited about seeing it. I really am. I know we talk about Micah, but I really am looking forward to see what this defense will look like compared to last year.
Now, how much were you familiar with going into each game, the injury report for the other team? Because like Landon Dickerson is good to go, their guard, but he had been having some back issues leading into it. Did you know the injury report and maybe how to attack legally accordingly?
I tell you what, it's kind of misleading because let's take someone like, I don't know, Lane Johnson or back when Larry Allen. You saw Larry Allen on the questionable list. You're like, oh my God, I hope that guy doesn't play. And then he ends up playing the whole game. You're like, oh my God, that was kind of the hardest games I've ever played. So I don't think you ever look into that unless they're period out. I think that's okay. Well, they've already submitted, who's available, but I really don't look into that. You still got to, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's been times you line up against a rookie and you're like, oh my God, I'm just going to let it eat and I'm going to have and we call it the mullets, but we ended up being like one of the more difficult games because you just kind of bought into that. So I don't think you look into that. I think maybe that's more the gambling aspect of it. If you're a fantasy football owner or you're gambling, maybe you look into that. But as a player, you just whoever lines up against you, with your grandma or whoever it is, you're just going to try to beat the hell out of them. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
That's fine.
No, that's fine.
Right. Yeah, that's one of the okay ones.
Yeah, if your grandmother lined up across from you in one of those games, do you think you could floor her?
Hey, if I did, no, there'd be a problem. Now I'd have now at this age probably have a struggle, but back in the prime, no doubt about it. Grandma would probably not be sending me any Christmas cards anymore.
Now, Tony Casillas joining us here on the K&C Masterpiece, two-time Super Bowl champion. Last year when we talked, Tony, I was talking about my son. He was getting into football. He's 7th grade. He's now 8th grade. They've beaten their opponents 42-0 and 35-7 in their first two games. And their coach has told them we still weren't good enough. Do all the best coaches say, hey, guys, we have things to improve, even if we did that?
Well, I have my own take on youth football coaches, but
yeah, that's right.
So you guys won 42-0, and then what was the other score?
35-7.
And you guys are 8th graders?
Yeah, they're 8th graders.
Were you guys playing the 5th grade or what?
Wow.
No. Actually, what happened is one of the other schools closed down, and so our school collected all the best players from that other school.
I'm just joking with you. No, I think that it's great whenever they're that age, because when your kids get older and they decide that that's not their gig, then. But I think that there's never enough preparation. There's never enough. No, I don't. There's no such thing as mercy football, and so you just try to beat them to submission. I think in the NFL that's kind of your frame of mind because it's just a different, the mental aspect of it, because all these dudes are just physically gifted and they're in the NFL for a reason. There's only 53 guys on the roster, but then the mental aspect of it, man, it's a preparation and just if the guy, closes his eyes, you know which way he's going, or if he twitches or whatever. I mean, those are little nuances that you have to take advantage of when you're studying your opponent. But, it's just to stay locked in and to focus on what's in front of you.
Now, the Cowboys are pretty hefty underdogs tonight. It's gotten up to 8.5. Do you have a prediction for this evening?
Yeah, I just when you look at Philly, I mean, they're so top to bottom. They're just good. They're built to win. I hate to say this, but they're built to win multiple Super Bowls. And, you know, I just, you try to look at a weak aspect of their team, and there's it's kind of hard to find something that just kind of keeps you from going with that spread. But I don't know. I think Dallas has to. I don't know if it's Javonte Williams or they got to be able to run the football, which I don't think they'll be able to, because look at, you know, Philly's defensive front. But I think this is they're going to have to air it out. I think Shoddy will do that. He's not afraid to throw the football, to sling it. But I just and defensively, yeah, you know, you got one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's coming off an unbelievable year in Saquon Barkley. So, I mean, how are you're going to have to stop that cat, and then you're going to have to rush the passer. So I'll get to it. I just like I like the Eagles to win. I'm going to say 35-21, maybe.
Okay. All right, I'll take 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's just hard to say that the Cowboys will. I don't think they'll win, but I think it will hopefully be closer than what we think, just because of who it is and the stage.
Well, excellent insight. We always appreciate having you on. Thanks a lot, sir.
Anytime, fellas. Have a great one.
Yes, sir.
Now, let me ask you a question. It's got to be either pluck the Eagles or
Yes, yeah.
The Eagles. What's the narrative to that? Let's just go with the latter on that.
Well, if we were off air, I would give you a different answer. But since we're not, I'll say pluck the Eagles.
Thanks, Tony.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one.